Hi, this is Mark Levine from EBMG, a New York City property management firm, and I have a special guest today.
Thank you, Mark. I'm Ed Mackoul from Mackoul Associates. We're an insurance agency that specializes in co-op and condominium insurance.
Okay, so we do so much work in the co-op and condo world out here, both of us in New York City area. So I think today what I wanted to talk to you about was the importance for shareholders and unit owners in condos to actually have their own personal policies. And if you could, since you're the expert, go through the different reasons why it would make sense for a person to have that policy in place.
Okay, I'd love to. There are 5 really basic coverages in a homeowner's policy. And what most people don't realize is they have a responsibility the second they buy that unit or those shares, they're responsible for something in that unit. So typically, a homeowner's policy comes with what's called improvements, abetments, or additions and alterations, and that covers what they are responsible for in the unit. It could be as simple as paint on the walls or fixtures, but in most cases, improvements have been done to the unit. Now, maybe you haven't done anything to the unit, but the prior owner has done something there. So you take a building that was built in 1950, the kitchen is new, the bathroom is new, people put up different dividing walls. That is all their responsibility once they purchased into that unit. Okay, so that is something that will be covered under homeowners insurance, because in the event of a fire or a burst pipe, if they want that back, that new kitchen, those new cabinets, they have to insure it. Second coverage is the personal property. In no instance is the co-op or condominium going to be responsible for their personal property. So it doesn't matter if that pipe inside the wall, which is the association's responsibility, bursts and causes damage to their TV or their furniture, they are responsible. So if they want that back, they need to insure it. The same applies to the third coverage, which is called additional living expenses. If they can't live in their apartment, and it doesn't make a difference if that fire resulted because of something in the association's responsibility, if they can't live in that apartment, it's not the association's responsibility to put them up in a hotel someplace else, to feed them. That's something that's their own responsibility, and a homeowner's policy will pick that up. And the last 2 coverages are liability. They can be sued, okay? So we've had instances where a child puts a doll in the toilet and flushes it to see a whirlpool. Well, overflowed, caused damage to 3 units below. They can and will be sued by the people downstairs. So that is a very important coverage as well. And the last one is there's certain assessments that the association can apply for, let's say, a covered cause of loss if they don't maintain enough insurance. Well, that assessment would be covered under the homeowner's policy. They're very inexpensive to an extent, and most people don't realize that. They think the association is responsible for everything. They feel like, okay, we're paying maintenance and there's a line item for insurance. They don't realize that they do need their own insurance.
And I think that this comes into play kind of like your Barbie doll analogy in the toilet bowl. But on this past weekend, I had a board member call me on Saturday night at around 10 that they noticed water from the upstairs apartment.
Right.
And we were able to track down that shareholder who happened to be essentially out of state. And then we had to go in. There was like an inch of water. Right. Who knows how long this was happening. And then it finally showed up down below. And my first question to them was, do you have insurance? And they said no. Right. And it makes not only it more expensive for that particular shareholder because they're also responsible for any damage that goes below.
Right.
Now we're doing mold inspections, so it could be possible mold remediation. So all of these costs are, kind of piling up. But it makes everybody's job harder because we have to go around now instead of dealing with the insurance agency and having, an inspector come and have them take care of it and have their professionals. We're now acting, as a project manager to make sure that their apartment is, back to livable.
Right.
So it kind of hits everything. And then they're going to be responsible for all the damage below,
Right.
which hasn't even been calculated yet. So for a few $100s, I'm sure, a year, it's still cheap enough to make sense. And nobody really realizes that they need homeowners insurance
Right.
until after the fact.
Right, and that's the problem. With a condominium, the owners have to show up at the closing with proof of insurance. With a co-op, they just have to show up at the closing with proof that the co-op has insurance, and that's the problem there, is they're not required.
Right, and what we do a lot of closings, so we always mandate, even if it's not, let's say, building policy, we always mandate that they do sit down at closing and they show proof of insurance going forward. And we're advising and I did this in Habitat Magazine also just recently for their yearly management survey, but that was my one thing, or maybe 2 years ago, was make sure that everybody has insurance in their respective apartments because this is such a big issue that's affecting so many people. And all you need is a fire, a flood, or some act of your child to just throw off your life financially, when for a few $100 it could be covered.
Absolutely.
All right, so I think that's a good background. So our Facebook and our social media, we are all places at XL Bradshaw, and why don't you give your information too, since you're new to them.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Our website is www.mackoul.com. You could sign up for our blog, and we do videos every week.
And I'll put all that information. Hopefully it'll be right here kind of below us as well, so you'll see that. So
Thank you, Mark.
we'll do a few more of these videos. I hope you keep checking them back, and I hope it's useful information for you. Till next time.